Hi everybody, welcome to Helping Horse and our second video in the horse leader training method. Our first video spent some time talking about the taking the lead method, why it's important, some principles behind its methods, and then a lot about where to stand and how to hold the equipment. I'm going to dive right into the how do we do this. So put on your seatbelts. It's going to be a long video, but it's full of a lot of good information. Our requests, we're always going to start with a suggestion. The suggestion is just saying, hey buddy, why don't we go do this together? Then we increase. If the horse ignores the suggestion, we go to an ask. Would you please go do this with me? If they ignore the ask, I go to a tell. I'm going to bring up some more pressure and say, now I need you to go. You're going to go do this. And then the insist is I like to say a promise that we're going to do whatever is being asked. So you're going to see in just a minute when we go through the demo of all the phases for walking, trotting, wowing, and slowing down and speeding up, that there's going to be that sequence of suggest, ask, tell, and insist. Okay, now we're going to go over the phases of wow. We'll be walking along. I'm walking along with Rocky, okay? Remember, my first phase is a suggestion. So, what I want to think about, and another thing to point out is the hardest part about wow is we need to wow our horse while staying within our leading position. You have to stay behind the cheek. The hardest things for people is they wow with their bodies, and they stop moving and the horse gets ahead of them. So you'll see a leader back here, and then all of a sudden they're going to the line and the horse jumps in front, or doesn't jump, turns in front of them. So the most challenging part of the wow is going to be maintaining your leading position, and that's the one thing I would encourage everybody to practice. So you're walking along and I need to make a suggestion to wow. So my as I'm moving my feet, he's trying to walk. I'm going to be moving my feet and I'm going to say, whoa. Now I want you to think about breaking your body in two halves. The lower half is my feet walking. The upper half is my core thinking, whoa. So I'm kind of thinking, I'm leaning back and starting to think slow down, but my feet are moving in cadence with the horse. Give the horse a minute to catch on to that. A lot of our horses, the minute you slow your internal energy up, they will stop. If they don't, no problem, we go to an ask. So now I'm going to be walking and I'm going to lift my stick, and here's the key with this. In order to get my stick in front of the horse's chest, because this is the area we're going to direct everything, if I just lift it, I'm going to hit the line. So you've got the smiley face in your line, you're going to have to lift your line. You might even need to shorten it a little bit. Lift the line, but keep a smiley face. We done, Rocky? And then I'm going to lift the stick. The gnats are bad right now. Lift the stick and continue to say, whoa. Okay, Rocky doesn't stop. So now my next tell is going to be, I've gone from a suggestion to asking to telling. Now I'm going to say, you need to stop. I'm going to shake the stick in front of his chest. And I like this stage to be called, hello, did you see the stick? Hello. So that shaking is a little bit of a hello. This is the stage I will sometimes stay the longest. I'll be walking and holding this because many times our horses will go to that. Now, if that doesn't work, the next phase is to tap them on the chest 3 times, or as many, up to 3 times. If you're doing it correctly, many times it might just take 1 tap for them to say, oh, okay, I need to stop. Now, when we say tap, you can't tickle. We also don't whip. It's a happy medium between tap, tap. So you can see I'm tapping myself. Oh, he hears the energy. Let me step away from him. You're gonna see, it doesn't hurt. Tap yourself. Feel free to tap yourself with the energy stick and see what it feels like. So you can get comfortable with tapping the horse. So we would do 1, 2, 3, but try to pay attention because the release in all of this is very important. When you're in any phase, when you're asking, If I go to 1 and the horse stops, he's given me, and I stop tapping and bring my stick to neutral. Okay? Tell him good boy, maybe give a little scratch. So I'm just taking you through the 4 standard phases of whoa. Sometimes you'll get all the way up to your insist, and you're tapping the horse and they're ignoring you. This is where it's very appropriate at this point to go to the line. At this point, you can take the line, and what I will sometimes do is flip my hand so the line is held in a fist. I mean, you can do it this way. What you want to be really careful is that you're not pulling the line towards you, because a lot of people, the horse is not stopping, and they pull the horse, and look, Rocky's been told to come into my space. If we're using the line, we want to direct it to their chest. The chest is the area we're directing our whoa. So if Rocky is not listening and I've tapped 3 times, I'm going to keep the stick in front and I'm going to do a check and release. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And look, he backed up on that. We do not want to be pulling and getting into horse skiing, because when you start pulling on the line with a consistent pressure, the horse is going to push back into that pressure. And so that's not going to get you anywhere. The check and release, similar to the stick shaking, I look at it as like a hello, hello, hello. Pay attention. Do you hear what I'm asking? To go through the phases of go, and these phases apply from when you're going from a halt to a walk to a trot, and we're going to talk later on about what we call transitions within a gait. So the important thing, as always, is our leading position. So before I do anything with a horse, I do a quick assessment. Where's my leading position? Here's how I'm standing. First phase is going to be my suggestion. So I am going to take a half step. Now this is all happening at the same time. I'm going to talk it through. Half step forward. I'm going to be thinking going forward. So a lot of times I think, right now I'm pointing to the mailbox. I've got my focus on we're heading to the mailbox. So all my energy is portraying the mailbox. The reason I take a half step forward is because it allows my body to go forward without my shoulder getting past that leading position spot. One of the big mistakes we see people do is they take one whole step forward. Now all of a sudden I am in front of Rocky and I can't see him. So starting here, I'm going to take my half step forward, bring my energy forward, and say the command walk on. So I say half step forward, think forward, walk on, Rock. So I've done my phase 1, my suggestion. Now I'm going to ask. Rocky's not responding. The next ask is a cluck or a kiss, whichever sound you can make. So it can sound like I'm going to come out of the phase so he doesn't start moving. It can sound like any sound that has that kind of cadence. The important thing is to do it rhythmically. Okay, see, he's paying attention. He heard my energy come up. So phase 1, or my suggestion, phase 2 is a clucking or kissing. Now he's not doing anything. Now I'm going to tell him. So I'm going to bring my stick up parallel to his body, and I'm going to wiggle the stick. And have some energy with it. Don't be afraid to, some people go, and there's really not, it's an energy stick. Bring some energy into it. So if I'm going to ask him to move, I'm going to really bring some energy into the stick, okay? If my horse is still not moving, I'm going to go add on. I'm shaking and nothing's happening. I'm going to come around and tickle his barrel with it. And I'm going to tickle the barrel and encourage him to move on. People ask, what about sidewalkers? This is a common question we get. This is where the warm-up is so critical. What you want to do before the class even begins, when you're out here with your horse, is make sure your horse is responding to you off the first 3 phases, the suggestion, the ask, the tell. If you're having to get to insist, your horse is not attuned to you, and you need to work that out before they get in the arena. Now, it doesn't mean it won't happen. What I try to do is, instead of doing the barrel, I will try to come around and touch the shoulder. It is, I will admit, harder with our smaller horses because there's less real estate back there, but just do the best you can without hitting your sidewalker. Please encourage your sidewalkers not to step out of the way as well. So I'm going to say walk on. And he walked on. He did off phase 2. Now, as I'm walking, I release my pressure and I do what's called an allow. He is now moving with me in an allow stage, okay? Now, if I'm going to ask him to stop, I'm going to go through my phases of whoa. I didn't even need to raise my stick. But you see how long I gave him a moment to think about that. So now we're going to talk about what I call transitions within a gait, meaning you're going to be maintaining the walk or the trot, but I need my horse to either slow down or speed up in either of those gaits. So the phases and the requests are exactly the same. You're not going to change anything. The only difference is you're doing it while you're in motion. So if I am asking my horse to walk and they're just dragging their toes, what I'm going to do is bring my body up and say, let's do a bigger walk. Bring a little bit, make sure you have energy. Up and say, let's march. Let's have a bigger walk. You can even march a little bit. You can even say, I want a little bit more. Now, what's important is when the horse does respond to that extra energy, you go back to neutral and follow, allow. If you keep asking, they might speed up, and you might get more than you want. So again, you're gonna start with yourself, bring your energy up. Nothing's happening, you're gonna cluck or kiss or make some kind of sound. Nothing happens, you're gonna bring your stick up and wiggle it. Nothing happens, you're gonna give a little touch, touch, touch. So in a slow down, you're walking, your horse is starting to speed up, things are getting a little fast. Think about slowing your body down first. A lot of times our horses are speeding up because the leader is speeding up. You're slowing down, go ahead and use a little woo, kind of like soft whoa to try to get them to slow down. This is where the change is. This is called the windshield wiper method. Instead of just bringing the stick up, which is stagnant and saying there's a wall, I need you to stop, I'm gonna do a windshield wiper. And it's almost like a check and release on the line, but this is a check and release with the stick. And I'm gonna sometimes say, whoa, whoa, whoa. Sometimes that in front of the horse is enough for them to say, oh, I gotta back up, there's something there. Or like a, hello, 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 do you see me? Are you paying attention? Or are you paying attention that your buddy's leaving to go out to the field? So this check and release, again, lift your line and think of it rhythmically. Whoa, whoa, whoa. And many times our horses will slow down. If that doesn't happen, bring the stick up, hold it there, shake it, and if you need to, tap, and then ultimately if you have to, check and release, check and release, check and release. Now let's talk about an emergency. If the horse panics, feel free to draw your line in, pull back, but please make sure to think, don't try to hold, do a check and release, check and release, check and release. You can stop a horse quicker with checks and releases than you can holding. Holding, if they're getting fast because they're nervous about something and then you hold them, they're gonna feel claustrophobic and it's gonna make them wanna move faster. It actually is counterproductive. So if the horse is all of a sudden, something's run out of the woods back here and they do a natural scoot of, oh my goodness, something's coming, check and release, check and release, check and release. So now we're gonna talk about the trot. Probably one of the most important parts of any of this is preparation. So be ready. Many times when we're trotting our students, we're stopping anyway to get the student organized. And so this is a great opportunity for you as a horse leader to get yourself organized. A lot of times we see horse leaders turning and looking at the rider, which is awesome, but you're missing an opportunity to say, get yourself in check, get yourself organized. Am I in the leading position? Is my shoulder at their cheekbone? This is one of these places where people get ahead of horses, and that's when it gets dangerous. Really important to stay just behind that cheekbone, and Also, you want a little bit more space than we even have at the wall. I'm standing a little further back. I've got the ability to put a block up and keep them away from me. We do not want our horses right next to us when we're trotting, and we do not want them behind us when they're trotting. We also don't want them in front of us when they're trotting. So the leading position is really critical. It's critical across the board, but here as well, because everything's happening faster. So outside of that, everything's going to be the same. You're going to start walking, and then you're going to go through your phases just like you do with everything else. The only difference is you're now going to be in motion. You're going to be walking, and you're going to think, I want to trot. And I'm going to think trot in my body. I'm going to actually bring some energy up and say, trot, Rocky. You're going to say the trot command because they know what it means. You're going to cluck. Nothing happens. You're going to shake. You'll tap. So the same levels that you do with everything else. Please be careful not to jog or run with our horses. Sometimes you have to if the horse has a really long stride and you're like me, you're a little vertically challenged. You might need to move your feet a little bit faster, but try to keep it a very low drag. We do not want to do what I call the vet check run or the competition trot. These are the things you see on TV where somebody's coming out and they're running with their horses because they're wanting to create big movement, showmanship for whoever's watching. You got to remember that bigger trot is going to create bigger movement for our students. We want what you would call the working pleasure trot. It's just a low, long, low, or a jog. What's called in the Western worlds, it's called a jog. It's just a real do, very low to the ground movement. So it's very important that you try to walk. But again, you do need to stay at that leading position. So if your horse gets ahead of you, move your feet to stay there, okay? Do what you need to do, but once you get there, see if maybe you can slow the horse down a little bit, just like the phases we talked about. So if the horse is really taking off, think, oh, slow down a little bit, we're going a little fast. Feel free to put that stick up pretty quickly to create a block and say, hello, pay attention, you're going a little fast. Again, things happen fast in the trot. Feel free to do a check and release.